It's finally here. Eternals. It's a lot to take in, but I love the directing of it. Hello, welcome to Just My Thoughts. I'm your host Khaleel Ward. On this episode, I'll be talking about the new Marvel movie, Eternals. It's finally here. It starts off with a Star Wars scroll, not with all the music, but is a scroll, and is telling you essentially what's taking place. The Celestials, they have sent these Eternals to Earth to fight these Deviants, and that's the basic premise of this particular movie. It's directed by Chloe Zhao. She just won an Academy Award for Nomadland, and her directing is really well done. Yes, it feels like a Marvel movie because you have the CGI, you have the powers and abilities. But this particular movie, it's not focused on like big cities. It's not in New York or in San Francisco or anything like that. There is a scene in London, but like a lot of this takes place out in the desert or on an island somewhere, and it just looks really beautiful in that aspect. It's not as like bright as you see like a Spider-Man movie. It's really bright and very lively. This movie is more subtle. It's not super dark like a DC movie like a Justice League or anything like that, but the colors are very different in this particular movie. And there's a lot of characters to follow because the Eternals, it's like 10 of them, and they're all in the movie. And it can seem overwhelming at times, but I think they do a good job because you're really mainly following a small group as they're meeting other people. So the Eternals are, you have Ajax, she's the leader, she's the healer, she's called the Prime Eternal because she can talk to the Celestial. You have Icarus, he shoots beams from his eyes, he flies around. You have Cersei. She really loves the humans the most out of everybody, and she can like change matter. She could take a rock and change it into water. She could take a rock and turn it into solid gold, stuff like that. You have Athena, not Athena, drop the A. She's the goddess of war, and she can create weapons out of thin air, with her abilities. You have Kingo. He shoots beams from his fingers, and he can also power them up to shoot, stronger beams. You have Druid. He can control humans with his mind. He's the first one to actually question their mission, while being on Earth. You have Sprite. Sprite always looks like a child, and she can create illusions. She seems to be the heart of the Eternals because she spends time with a lot of different members. You have Makari. She has super speed. She's also deaf, and she's deaf in real life. Um, you have Fastos. He creates technology. Like for instance, he at one point he's like creating a steam engine, but it's like too advanced for the current civilization, and they're like, wait, that's too advanced for this civilization. Please give them something simpler. And then he just comes out with like a plow. You have Gilgamesh. He's considered the strongest Eternal amongst this particular group because there's other Eternals out there, and he usually creates like these braces around his arm and he punches things. So they've been on Earth for like 7,000 years, again, sent by Celestials. They can't interfere with regular human conflicts unless the Deviants are involved. So the movie, it gives you present day stuff, as we follow the characters, mainly Cersei, like we with her for the majority of the movie. And then it takes us back to show us, when they arrived or like different conflicts throughout, history and what they did to help, because sometimes deviants are involved, sometimes it's just a human conflict and they don't really do much, so you going back and forth. And I think the movie, it's probably like the biggest issue because there's so many characters, you don't get to spend time with all of the characters. You get a little sprinkle here and there, and it's not like Guardians of the Galaxy where it's like a smaller group coming together. And Guardians is mainly focused on Star-Lord, even though Gamora has her history with Thanos and Nebula and stuff like that. But we don't get a lot of backstory with Drax. We get a little sprinkle. And we don't get a lot of backstory with Rocket and Groot. We get a little sprinkle. And that's what it seems like with all the Eternals. We don't get as much time with them. Like, we see some of their conflicts back in the day, and we see some of their relationships. This movie actually has relationships, and it's not just like, you know, them talking about it. You actually see a couple having sex essentially, and you hear the "I love you," and we don't spend a lot of time with them, but these characters have 7,000 years together, and we're just now meeting them. So they have a history, and we're just learning to understand them. And they're not by themselves. They don't seem very powerful because they are attacked at one point in time, and they get by essentially. They work as a unit really well. There's scenes where they're fighting, and the CGI is not over the top. The action is not over the top, and I don't think this particular movie was trying to do that, to like show like big action set pieces like that. They fight the deviants here and there, but it's nothing like we haven't seen before. I think the moves look really cool because there's always gold. Like when Sprite does her illusions, her fingers light up gold, and she show you different things. When Athena does when she starts fighting, it's just gold shows up around her, and then maybe it's a sword, and then it turns into a spear, and then it turns into a shield. So it looks really cool. Kingo is the comedian of the group. He went off and he was a movie star. Like, they all separate at some time, and they all figure out different things to do, and he decides to be like this Bollywood star, and he's the comedian of the group. When he's around, everybody else is a little bit more chill and a little bit more relaxed. He makes the group laugh. Again, I think Sprite is the heart of the group because she does spend time with Kingo. She spends time with Ajak, and when we first introduced to them, she's spending time with Cersei. So it's like having a lot of siblings, and you get to spend a little bit of time with everyone. That's how Sprite is. Makari is probably my favorite. She seems to she gets along well with everyone, especially Druid, which is surprising. Her speed looks really cool. She does the things we've seen before with speedsters in terms of like punching people really fast, running around like that, saving people. But she does like these shock blasts that looks really cool. And I enjoyed whenever she was on screen. And the conflict you see is not just, with the Deviants, but is also with the group because they haven't seen each other for centuries. So it's basically getting the group back together, but not having, not seeing them in so long. And it's not always hugs and kisses, when they come around each other. So it's a lot to take in, especially for a Marvel movie. It's over 2 hours. And then it does connect to other things that Marvel will be doing. There's 2 post-credit scenes that's really interesting. The first one got big cheers, and the second one was like really cool, what they were going to do going forward. So it's a good movie. The critics' ratings and them bashing it and all that, I don't understand that. I thought the story was a lot, but with the directing, you could follow it. You understood what was going on. You seen everybody do their abilities, so you understood. They say their names a lot, so you can follow and process. Fastos is also a very interesting character who, him helping develop technology. He doesn't really like humanity, but he learns to love them because he has this family that you spend some time with, and it's really cool seeing him around his family. And when he has to essentially meet his old family again. So it's a cool movie. I would say go check it out, especially if you like the MCU. Go check it out. But for those who just want to see a good movie, go watch it because Chloe Zhao, she does a really good job directing the movie, and it has the MCU things in terms of the fighting, but it's some really great acting, some really great shots, and I was surprised about, I was surprised a few times in this particular movie because I wasn't expecting things to go the way they did, and it's a solid movie. So go check it out. Eternals is finally here. I didn't see it in IMAX, but I seen it in Dolby Cinema, so it's like a big screen, and it looks really well. So go see it on the big screen and enjoy the movie just like I did. But those are just my thoughts on it. Please let me know what you thought about it.